Continual innovation of strategy is imperative if you want to stay ahead of the curve within the algo generation world. And with that being said, we have the London Test Asia Extreme strategy. This is a mean reversion strategy, and it performs the best on the JPY pairs. During the London section, these are the very, very basic and simple rules that we are currently following within our build. Then we'll dive into the FX Streamer and show you exactly how we built it for the community members. Then we'll dive over into the MT5 and see how well it plays out. We want to mark the Asian session high and low session window from 2200 to 8 server time, EET or EEST. Make sure that you account for this, put it in ChatGPT, whatever you want to do to find out your conversion of that time frame. The trigger, the London raid. During the first 2 hours of the London, 8 to 10, wait for a 15-minute or 1 hour bar to wick beyond an Asian extreme and then close back inside that range. So we're looking for an entry on the fade of that wick, entering in the opposite direction to the wick above the Asian, go short, wick below the Asian, we go long. So looking for a mean reversion, finding that range, the optimal range, looking for a break below and then a wick back in, and then looking for the opposite. So it's more of a mean reversion than a breakout system. Our stop loss, our risk and stop loss placement. So stop loss risk at the top of the wick, that can be triggered the entry. Adding an ATR based stop loss, just because I don't like to have these very large stop losses. It's harder to get profit out of them. It's harder to make your stops hit break even much quicker. So I've added in a couple of those, but you can change it back to the original strategy if you like. And the take profit at the opposite side of the Asian session extreme. We always base ours on a risk to reward instead of profit targets like that. Once again, if you want to change that, it's completely up to you. Close all open positions by 18 server time regardless of the outcome. Now, I've already done a little bit of testing on this. I haven't dove deep massively into the optimization phase, but just based on 2 pairs here on the 15-minute time frame, Aussie yen and pound yen, I was able to get a total of 152% profit over the last 7 years, 1.25 profit factor. That should be increased a little bit. Win rate's almost 42%, but we increase the risk to reward on pound yen, just getting a little bit higher. Drawdown 22%, we can halve that, and 600 trades, so a good sample size. Average net return is about 12.3% per year. And these are just 2 of the equity curves that we have and our monthly returns on this strategy as well. So not too bad based on some very basic optimizations. I'm sure you guys can do a lot better than this. So out of since 2019, we had 3 negative years, 3 negative and 3 positive. This is much more of a larger negative. So minimizing this is crucial. We could probably filter out this time frame here, as in have a look at the charts. What's the chart showing you? How can we filter out this losing streak here? So mapping out the high and the low from this point here, which is the 22 to 8, we have our Asian high marked out here, Asian low marked down there. Now the next move we're waiting for is a wick to break below that, but close up onto the top side of above, back into that range essentially. At this point, we can then enter a long position after that wick closes down below. Depending on our stop loss, how we're going to structure this, we can either have it below that swing low, or we can have a minimum pips or a percentage of price, targeting just a 1-to-1 as we do with our initial testing. Then we can increase that later, targeting possibly these highs up here and beyond, with either a management system, a break-even method, or whatever it happens to be. So that's how simple the system is. So pretty simple stuff. We have once a day, we're storing that Asian high and low from that session. So Asian high from 2 to 9, depending on wherever your broker is, whatever your time frame is. These are set to IC markets. If yours is different, then change your time frames, obviously. But server time for IC markets, if you are with a different broker, for example, Darwin, then definitely change that also for your broker. But essentially all we're doing is storing the Asian high and the Asian low. Range calculation, so we want to take that range and we store that inside the modified variable here. So Asian range is stored in a modified variable that will change and reset every single day. Now, I added this in as an extra filter. So Asian range is above or equals to the ATR range, but with a range filter in there, 0.5 times the range filter. So it's a minimum of the Asian range. Now, this is something we've been using a lot more recently, is the out tab here. So whenever you click one of these blocks, you have a variables. It's just a shortcut in how to use it. And we're just switching the trades allowed to 1, and that'll make sense in the next stage. Just drawing a line also on the chart for the high and the low, so you can visually see it on the charts. Once a day, we're also going to delete all of those objects, so it resets, makes the charts look nice, neat, and clean. Moving on to the actual strategy. Now, as I said before, the trades allowed needs to equal 1. So on this block here, we set that to that trades allowed to equal 1, and then trades allowed equals 1 over here. We update that. After that's been completed, so we are allowed, our values have been found here, we can now use them for this later strategy here. Trades are allowed once per bar, shorts and longs allowed. Now, I've just added this in as a part of your testing. If you only want to have longs, if you only want to have shorts, or you want to compare the two, or you want to see which one has the best returns, then you can actually change that within the constants here. So longs active, shorts active, 1 equals active. You can modify that within the MT5, so you can only see one or the other if you wish. Now, we're looking for that CID candle to wick above or below that Asian session. So we've already stored our Asian high, right? So the candle high of 1 is above that Asian high. The second candle, it actually needs to close above into that range. So the candle close of 1 is below that Asian high. So we spike above, back in, closing, and then closing above the Asian low, and then just make sure it's still within that range. So we're in this range from the top side down. We're in the range from the candle closes above the Asian low, so it hasn't already exploded outside of that range. There's no other positions currently, and there's no pending positions right now. Now, I've put a sell pending order. You can use a buy now if you want. If you want to make the adjustment and change, you're more than welcome to. At the price, the candle low of 1, right? We're selling at that candle low. If you want to have price, you can do the exact same with a sell now. Sell now, it'll just be adding an extra step. For example, we can save the value of candle ID 1 with a modified variable. At this point here, we add candle low entry, market properties, lowest price candle period from your previous candle 1 and 1. We update that. Now this will store that value, and you can sell it at that candle low. You've stored the value condition straight after here. Market properties is below the value candle low entry. If that's what you want to do, if you want to use a sell now position, just do it this way with these 2 extra blocks. So that should make complete sense. And then that'll just trigger a live trade. Don't forget to reset your entries back to 0. But for this example, we're just going to focus on the buy now and sell now pending orders. So I'll leave this within here if you want to play around with it and make the opposite side for the buy side. Now the longs is exactly the same. Now, as per the strategy, it does say once per day for each position and to close at a certain time. If you don't want that, change it out. Have an age system. So for example, check age if it is 5 hours, 10 hours, 15 hours. I'd much prefer to do that instead of the just closing at a random time. So that's it. For each position, you just put check age before the close and change this here, the once a day. Now also here at the once a day, you got to remember to reset this trades allowed back to 0, so that once this trade is closed, it can reset the whole dynamic of finding another position. Now there's 2 other blocks on here. If you want to use the blocks, place the stops, profit target, and price levels specified on the original strategy logic. Ensure that the stop loss is greater than the profit target. All we're finding is 2 values here. So we're finding candle high of 1 minus the candle low of 1, which is the short distance check. And then we also just compare that with the low minus the Asian low for the distance check. So that's to make sure that when you enter, that the wick at the bottom side, there's enough profit to be a minimum of a 1-to-1 before you hit the upper side of it. So it's just making sure that this candle section right here is small enough that you can get a 1-to-1 within this value set here, and your stop loss still makes sense. Okay, that's why I've opted for this ATR based stop loss instead. But if you want to test out the other variation, you're more than welcome to. All you need to do is drag these 2 pending orders down, drag these over, copy and paste them in between those two. So disconnect these, add them in, and then they'll be ready to go. So let's jump over to MT5 and see how it goes. So based on some very, very simple metrics, Asian range of 0.5, risk of 1%, ATR 1.5, and a profit target of 1-to-1. We'll just do total watches. Okay, based on the optimization, we can see that clear winner is Aussie Yen, Aussie Swiss, and we have, Aussie Yen is the clear winner, pretty consistent. You have Aussie Swiss also popping up, and Pound Yen. So have a play around with that, optimize some of these strategies here. Getting some pretty solid results on those two pairs. Jump into them, dive into them, and do a little bit of optimizing. See how you go with it, and I'll see you in the next one.